Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Perfectly Frank podcast. If you need more information, please visit the website at IamPerfectlyFrank.com to learn more about our coaching programs, our intuitive work, our muscle care program, which treats pain patterns, and we do massage. Also, to pick up on the individual podcast. Hello, everyone. Welcome to They Call Me Perfectly Frank. Please visit my website, IamPerfectlyFrank.com. In case you want a coaching session, please book one on the site. And by the way, if you're interested in purchasing my book, The Man He's Stupid and the Girl She's So Bitch, please either go to my website, IamPerfectlyFrank.com, or feel free to order it on Amazon, either on Kindle or in paperback. Welcome, everyone. Welcome to the podcast, I Am Perfectly Frank. I am Frankie George McCullough, and today is a continuation of our previous podcast with Anthony Toma and Junior Bino. And we ended our podcast with the intention of talking about how to create our future, how our past in many ways was created for us. We weren't aware yet how the universe was taking us. And now we are aware that we can participate in where the universe is going to take us, as well as pay attention when the universe is saying, chill, slow down, and the information it's giving us. And I'd like to start with you, Junior, because in our last podcast, we started to talk about your awareness of the universe was talking to you and you needed to slow down. Mm-hmm. And I would like to just back up for a minute because I'd like to talk about God, what I call source energy, the universe, all the same thing, just different names, right? Mm-hmm. And Einstein tells us everything is energy. In the beginning of the Bible, the Old Testament, God talks about he's omnipresent. We will never die. That's it, okay? Mm-hmm. That life just recycles itself. And many people don't really believe in reincarnation, or that there is a space that when the physical body is shed, that they go. Mm-hmm. And you spoke of talking to not just source energy, God, right, but you spoke of talking to your mom and your dad and those people that you feel like if there were a video in here that we could see, a Curlian photography, which takes photographs of energy, you could see that there's a wire almost that's connecting you to them. Yep. And they bring you peace.
Yes, they do. Yes, they do. And the thing is, I mentioned my older brother on our last episode was being visually impaired, he doesn't see what we see. It's a lot harder. So I asked him, I said, I'm going through some tough times. And he said, what do you normally do? And I said, I just, when I'm on work, I do the 5 Hail Marys, 5 Our Fathers, and then just ask for everybody to be taken care of and all that. He said, you got to do something a little different. He said, you got to go talk. There's no point of just doing it's a repetitious thing. So you got to go outside your repetitious behavior. He said, what you do is you talk to God and let him know all your problems, all the basic breakdowns, things that are going good too. He said, let it be known both ways. And if I tell you this, Francis, and I put this on my heart, in 24 hours later, when I did that, the day he told me, my life turned around in 180. I received something that I was stressing and waiting for months and months, and it came right through. And I called him up in excitement. I said to him, do you know what just happened to me? He said, what? I said, your advice to talk to energy the different way than just going, God, here's my Our Father and Hail Mary, got me what I was looking for. I said, but so you understand, I'm not going to stop just because I got that now. Now I'm going to do it more often to understand. Even on my best days, I'm just going to let them know, thanks for looking out, So energy is there. You got to remember, the mind is so powerful. It has the ability to heat a home. You learn that when you were young. Unfortunately, we only use a small % of it, so you never get to push fully enough to be able to get to those points sometimes. So hopefully what we talk about helps others get through those, because some people just never get the good energy.
Do you think because of life and time, we were not given this information, or the information was, I'm sure you heard about it when you were younger, but it was pushed away because of our religious beliefs?
our religious beliefs as Chaldeans is more towards the disbelief of, to say, the Anna, right? To say somebody has an
Something
eye on
evil.
you, superstitious shit. This isn't superstitious. Your energy is real. The Lord's energy is real. I've been to the cemetery to go visit my mother, and I had sat there in tears and got back in the car and drove and left the cemetery. And all of a sudden my passenger door would start blinking that it was open. And I told my cousins and my sister this, and they wouldn't believe me. And I said, I went to church, I went to the cemetery, and then I was on my way to breakfast, and there was no need for me to be in the passenger seat. Think about that. I told them I've been by myself all morning. And so that's why I believe in times, even, like as my co-partner and friend here, he's gained an angel recently. He will understand that at some point in time that on the hardest days, they're right there just watching how you're going to perform, to say your energy is going to make the difference, and we're going to give it to you. You may not see it, but it's there.
It's the pay attention factor.
Yes.
So Anthony, let's talk about that. I think that, as you observed yesterday in our previous podcast, you observed that my toothbrush cap fell, whatever it was, that course, you made that observation to go, okay, God, source, energy, universe, you're talking to me. I don't want this pattern to continue. So I'm going to slow down. You paid attention. What was your experience? What has your experience been in that arena? I know you know it in business, but have you had any personal experiences
that forced me to slow down?
Yeah, that forced you to take a look at it.
Not one that I could point to.
What about your divorce? What about going through that moment when you realized whether it was, I don't know your story. So I don't know if it was you that said, I got to walk away from this, or if it was her that said, I got to walk away from this, and my hope is that you still respect her and love her and don't talk bad about her. I don't even know your ex-wife.
Yeah.
So for the sake of your children, and also you did nothing wrong. There was a necessary need to have that marriage for both of you. And there was a necessary need for you two to move on. Were you aware of the path when that thing happened, that there was purpose in it, or were you just in pain?
Obviously, I was in pain for the kids' sake. As far as her and I think we both knew it was done. I don't know if it's something that like happened overnight. Obviously, I don't think it was something that happened overnight, and it was like there was no aha moment or anything like that. It's just something that gradually happened. People grow apart, people have different interests and that, and so that's where that landed. And as far as pain, obviously there's pain for the children, like I said, but
what about with 9-9? What about when you lost all those franchises and your new venture now, we're going to stay on this road? Was there an aha moment, or not even an aha moment, but a pivotal moment that said, we have to stay in this path?
Not really. I take stuff day by day. I'm not I don't ever dwell on the past, and I try not to predict the future. I try to make the future. So I don't know if that even makes sense, but
it does, 100%. And that's the beauty of it. Because you two are so different right now, especially in your lives. And I know in my life, I've created most of my life from the time I was 13 for my experience of loss. And from that time, I had a complete awareness that I could participate in what my life looked like. I could participate, and all I knew was that happiness was the road I was going to take. Whatever happiness was going to bring, I knew the path. And it seems that for all of us, we like to serve. We like to be in service and help people and care for them and empower them. And so I would like to talk about your future. Like, are you aware that, like in business, as we discussed in the last podcast, like in business, are you aware that you can, with the same kind of clarity, take the time to look at how do I want my life to go? And then, just like in business, charge out, not necessarily with action, But when you get into business, you guys get a feeling of what it's going to be like. I'm going to go into 9-9. I'm going to build this business. It's going to feel great. I'm going to take on more people. All these people are going to help. Look at all this success, right? I just paved the path. You can do the same thing in your life. And in our last podcast, we discussed how you felt about your future relationship, having someone to share your life with, right?
Yes.
But you don't want to take the same path you took before. Refresh us again on that path. You would like to take the path of sharing your life.
You mean as far as the marriage, the
right.
consummation and all that good stuff? Yeah, just sharing a life. Not entering into some binding agreement where it's
paper binding.
Paper binding, right. Yeah.
You're willing to be monogamous.
Absolutely, yeah.
What's the need for paper? If you trust me.
I don't know what the need for paper is.
Right.
I guess it's the need for whoever is I guess not comfortable with their life, for themselves.
But you yourself are looking for someone that's okay with who they are, that finds happiness within themselves, that kind of walks in the same path you walk, and therefore trust isn't because of a piece of paper.
Right, of course.
Yeah. And that's what you're looking for. So you're paving that. Is there a timeline?
If there was a timeline, it'd probably be the wrong time. I mean, if I put a time stamp on it or a date on it, then then you're going to rush again. It's
why you do it with business.
Business is you can walk away from a business at any time.
You nailed it.
Yeah, you can walk away from that. You don't want to. What I don't want to do is get into the wrong relationship again.
Mm-hmm. What if your timeline wasn't next year? What if your timeline was that I would like to meet someone in a timely manner? Okay, and a timely manner means by the time my youngest child is, I don't know how old your kids are, so so on, and that this person gets along great with my ex, and my children really like her, and she doesn't try to parent them, but what she does is she befriends them and respects them, and they respect her. What if that was your timeline?
It sounds like a plan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I would offer you the thought. I would offer that because I want to have you on a podcast again so we can see where this has gone.
Sure.
To truly, as you said, make a list. I have found in helping people do this that if you could, and you got it when we were talking about it just now, you got to that place where, I like that feeling. Mm-hmm. That feeling feels good.
Yeah.
This is where creation happens. In this book called the Bible, which the word Bible simply means book, in the very beginning, this energy, this source, God, tells us that he cannot or it cannot experience life. I can through you. I can experience. I want to hear that word. Experience life, but through you. I cannot experience life but through you. And we think life is a lesson, right? And I would offer the thought that life is an experience, and that the lessons that come along are the lessons we have experienced by being awake.
Sure.
Awake. And then we talked about this on Keeping Up with the Chaldeans. What are people awakening to, right?
Yeah.
They're awakening to this privilege, this gift that has been given us on this place called life, to acknowledge source energy inside of us as us, and then to use it and also co-create or create with God living inside of us. And so it sounds like you too, Junior. You are ready and aware of this ability, but not quite yet have used it.
No, I gotta agree a lot with what Anthony said. Well, one reason he's experienced what I haven't. He has had a wife, he has had kids, he has gone through the marriage and all that. Majority of stuff I gotta agree with him on. The contractual agreement, AT, I think is to me, it's just a joke. The contractual agreement between you and the wife, all that is to me is like the refund policy on a receipt. It deters you from wanting to return, just like it deters you from wanting to divorce, right? But when reality hits. You're not compatible, you're going to need to make that walk a lot easier. Jokingly, I had an older Chaldean woman say this to me, and we would never, ever hear this when we were younger. She said, I would have rather had kids and then gotten married 3-4 years after we had the kids, because that would have been the true testament right there to see if we can surpass those first 2 to 4 years of the child, to see waking up, going through the stuff, take them here, doctors, this, that, and all the stuff and financial woes that can come in. And I said, wow, that's not a bad idea. You know, Francis, asking him to say, hey, Anthony, you got a timeline 1 year from now, 2 years from now, it's tough, because when I was 22 years old, I envisioned that by 27, the wife, the kids, the house on the hill was going to be there. But by 24, there was a full 180 that happened in my life that erased all that. In business, we can dictate and say, I have a 5-year game plan. I have a blueprint to work off of. I have the ability to attain that goal and get to what I have to get to. Or if 6 months from now it's not working, it's bleeding.
You turn
from it and you walk away, right? Whereas in our case is once the commitment's made, and then you have the kids, that's even another larger commitment that you're going to have to take care of and be responsible for. I understand you can't the reason you can't compare, you're not going to say our employees are our kids. You know, we do have to staff, and we do have to make sure that they're taken care of and paid for, but this is a different livelihood that we have to take care of. Me personally, standing at this age, I would follow exactly what he would be doing. I want companionship. I would prefer to be with somebody who would be willing to be by my side. I don't need to have it down the aisle. Believe me, I would be happy to get all those envelopes I put back in the years, but jokingly, I really don't care, because I would rather just do something enough to satisfy me, have a kid, and raise the kid well enough with all the qualities that my parents instilled into me growing up and our community did. But again, saying that 20 years ago was not common. Saying that we're going to have kids out of wedlock wasn't going to be common, but it's changed. And that's the path that seems like a lot of us, not just male, are taking in our community. The females are pushing to that point too. And it's just happening.
Oh yeah.
Quality's not there. Just for a joke, I just posted 2 days ago, and I said, if anybody asks me why I'm not married at this point in time, I'm going to tell them there's a supply chain issue. So,
well, what if this very peaceful, worldly, I'm going to say worldly, because the world, America especially, says you need to be married. You get married because you want to give your children this. There are financial implications. I think it'd be fun if somebody came up with why the financial implications are greater if you don't get married. And even though you might be spending a little bit more money on healthcare and so on, you're still going to be gaining so much more on this. Mm-hmm. And it's really just, as Anthony had said, it's really just it's an ownership. Mm-hmm. It's an ownership issue having these papers. It's like having an LLC. Really, it's an ownership issue. I don't see a problem with it. I see a problem with people that care what other people think as a problem. Although I have found in my life that if you stand proud in who you are, a lot of the people that might even be talking bad about you still want to hang on to your shirt tail.
Sure.
And they want to follow you, and they want to, I wish I could breathe like you breathe and not be so afraid of what these people think. And, for many years, I thought people didn't like me, only to find out that, oh my gosh, I so admire you. You're one of my favorite people. I'm like, really? You treated me like shit at a party.
Yeah.
So I would like to offer you the thought that you have the ability, just like a business. Look, you and Anthony are married, whether you like it or not. You guys have a relationship that does have timelines in it. You guys have a relationship in business that does involve money. You haven't exchanged names. I don't know what your legal agreement is, but there's that sense of honor, that natural sense of honor that says, listen, I'm doing this with you. You guys could break up. Mm-hmm. Okay, you could break up. You could break up for months and then come back together and say, hey, I didn't know what the hell I was doing. That pissed me off what you did, blah, blah, blah. If marriages could look like that, and I'm not talking about marriage on paper. Sure. I'm talking this union of two people like you and Anthony are married in this business world, which, by the way, is only one tiny level mm-hmm. of the business world each of you are in, because you have a whole separate business as you do, right? Mm-hmm. What if, just like in business, you could create your personal life? Mm-hmm. What if you could create that life where I like the way it feels to have this partner, and you know what? I like having a kid. I love that. Mm-hmm. I love being part of this kid's life. I like that the kid is of me. Like my children are adopted. They're of me. So I don't know that it really, for me, I don't know that it matters where the ability to love something comes from, right? You know, and what if you could actually create that?
Yeah, well,
On that whole open level.
you know, Anthony said something 2 years ago, and it hit home to me when I left the show. And I never thought about it that way. And ever since that time, that has been my goal, to see who and how I can make it happen. And we're talking about kids, and we're talking about how, like, you know, like he's got his own nieces and nephews. I've got nieces and nephews, and how much I love them and this and that. And he made a statement on that show, that episode with Mervet. He said, and he looked over and he said, they can love you all. You think that, you know, they're going to have to love you and all that, but it's never the same as it is when their parents are there. You know, the love for the parents and the children is completely different than the uncle to the nephew and the nieces, or, you know. So when he said that, it hit home, because I watched that more. Now, when I picked up the nieces and nephews, and by the time I was done, the speed they would get to run to their mom or go back to their dad and hang out and stuff like that, just goes to show, no matter whatever you bought, whatever you did, all the time you instilled, it's still, the love is completely different. And I wanted to find that. So that's the last couple of years. He instilled that in my head, and I've been searching for it. So that's what I'd want.
Yeah, it doesn't matter how they come, by the way.
No.
The ability to be a parent doesn't come from the fact that you birthed it.
Yeah.
It comes from the fact that you give it.
Sure.
It comes from that space.
Yep.
But let me ask you this question again, both of you. Are you willing and open to possibly create that with source energy? Have a conversation with God. Say, okay, God, I got this. I am excited. Whew. I love the way it feels to share my life with someone. I love the way it feels to not get caught up in what society says it has to be. I love the way it feels to have a child and to share the raising of that child with this person. And I love all the freedom it brings that society doesn't clog us up. Are you open and willing to go there?
Me personally?
Yeah.
I am at this point. Think especially after I was away this weekend, and when you get to see all your first cousins and everybody around, and the FaceTime's going off and the kids are calling and this and that. And, you know, you want that. You want someone you want to feel important to someone in something.
Right.
You know, so you're, like Anthony said, your kids will always love you the way they do. Granted, maybe not your wife or your husband, but your kids are your kids. So that's my goal. That's what I'm pushing towards.
What if you could have it with your wife or your husband? What if you could have it with your mate as well?
That's what I'm saying. I would love, like I said, jokingly, but not jokingly, there's plenty of Chaldean women that are following that path right now, that they don't want to get married either. And some are, it's going to take just one of them to push that trend to say, I did it out of wedlock. And I can almost promise you this generation will follow. It's not to say that it's the best, because we grew up off of a faithful community, right? We're in faith, right? And in faith, it says you're not supposed to do these things out of wedlock from the book that you said, the Bible.
But it's still wedlock. It's just not with the papers. Let's be clear.
That's it.
You know, it's still a commitment. We commit to God.
That's it. That's what I'm saying.
We commit to our religion.
Yes.
It's in America. I believe it's true in Michigan. After 5 years, it's common law marriage. So if you're worried about the money, that your mate or you, whoever is the more financially secure, if you choose to walk away, can still gain financially. But it's not about the money. But, you know, at some point, you've made a commitment to yourself that you want to stay with this person forever. That's where the commitment arises. It doesn't necessarily arise to the other person, but the paperwork is a bunch of bullshit because it's for everybody else.
Yes.
It's not really for you.
No.
The party, I hope you'll have one. Because we'd like to come to the party.
If I did, I'd do
blue jeans and tennis shoes.
That's I was going to tell you. I'd make it. And I promise you, and I don't know if they watch this, shout out to Andy Lawrence and all them. I would let this guy give me a hand with it, because let me tell you something.
Right.
If there's anybody that can crack the whip, he can. But it comes out like that. Like if you've been to our barbecues and stuff like that, he's on point. But yes, I would love to. Yes, I'd be looking for it. Yes, it would have been fun to have another couple be me and someone at this weekend vacation, and it wasn't. I was with my cousin Anthony Sawa. That was my couple with me. So yeah, it'd be great. And I think even many friends like him and others would be happy just to even see me have a kid, because he knows how much I love his kids and other kids. You know, he sees it
For sure. Just to clear up a few things that I said, I'm not against marriage on paper. And I'm not saying that I would not get married on paper. And I think Junior not having gone through it should not, rule anything out at this point right now. When the thing that I said about the kids and the nieces and your own kids is that when you look at your nieces and nephews, you will die for them, each and every one of them, just like you die for your kids. The difference is the way that your nieces and nephews look at you is you're the uncle. The way that they look at their mom and their dad is they're their hero. So the difference is with the way my kids look at me is that I'm their hero. I'm the guy. So that's what I said that day, and it was a couple of years ago. So, but Junior should experience that feeling, and at any cost. So if a piece of paper is deterring that, it should not. You should dive right in head first. And, you say you want this or this or this or this for your wedding and how you want it to play out. It's not up to you, buddy.
I know.
It's up to the missus. The missus is going to dictate
Not only that,
how that rolls out.
Yeah, what you guys are talking about is I want to feel full with a mate. I want to have a mate in my life that doesn't need me to make her life feel better. I want a mate in my life that already feels good about who they are. I want a mate in their life that's going to let me be me, and I'm going to let my mate be them, and together we're going to come together and we're going to share that. And in combination with that, we're going to participate in raising a child. In your case, it's going to be an outsider coming in and participating in the joy of your children. But I would hope, and I hope this for many people, step parenting is tough. Don't come in and step parent. Let that parent, if it's a male parent, let that parent be the parent and you be a support system, right? And let that parent dictate the rules together. You and them together come together to say, listen, these are the house rules. We're going to do these, but they're not put upon that step parent. It's a lot of work. Love, though, is possible with everything. I mean, it's not an impossibility. The question I'm going to come back to for both of you is, when I spoke about this to you, did it light you up inside as you spoke about it? Does it light you up inside to have what you're asking for?
Well, he just did by that comment right
Exactly.
now. He just lit my ass up. I'm not going to lie, because I was deterred by all that and I didn't care. But you know what? When he says it that way, it's right. Makes sense completely. Give it a shot. If it fails, there's an option. If it doesn't work, you got to go through the steps to be out. But at least you got to make an attempt at it once in order for you to experience, to say, I've tasted the bitter and the sweet and I know what I like. So yeah, I think he did give me a little oomph right now.
Yeah, but don't look for the out before you get in.
Yeah.
No,
I was just going to say that.
And then figure the rest of it out.
No,
let it play out. You'll be a phenomenal husband. You'd be a phenomenal dad, for sure. I mean, the way that you take care of your nieces and nephews, it's time for you to jump in there and make it happen, I think.
I've observed in this creation space, as we're talking about, this ability to pave out my life out like I would pave out a business, right? And I use the correlation because business is so easy, right? Oh, I'm going to get to this step. And then when I get to this step, and the nice thing about making a business plan is you better count on it's going to change, right? So is marriage. So is relationship with a child. Look I have a 15-year-old that's actually now in the last couple of days hanging out in the kitchen, cooking. Yeah. I'm talking to him. He went from, I'm in my room all the time. Don't talk to me. I don't know you. You don't know me. As I shared in a podcast with you, he refuses to do homework, but the boy is brilliant. It's just fabulous. I'm confident, and he's going to school every day, and now he's getting up to go to school every day. I mean, who is he? These changes occur, and we as a parent, I have to pay attention to that behavior as he changes, because who he was yesterday, not who he is today. And that's true in business. That's true in relationship of any kind. You guys as business partners, an intimate relationship, I would offer you the thought that I wrote this book, The Man He's Stupid and the Girl She's So Bitch, to help us understand how valuable communicating is, how valuable it is. And women get uncomfortable. So do men. A man like Anthony would observe it more than he would speak it because it's the nature of who he is. You'd be willing to speak it, but you might be a little gruff like me, right? Just say, hey, what the fuck is that?
You're right. You're right.
But if your mate had the opportunity, if you just discussed when you first started to feel that I want to spend more time with this person, that, hey, let's have an open book. Let's be okay to communicate with each other. And by the way, it's okay if you call me out if I get too excited and you want me to calm down. Is it okay if I do the same with you? We think because we communicated something with someone that they're going to get it, right? But we have to give each other permission to get it. So I'd like to come back in a year from now. And I would like to offer you guys the thought that you might want to forget the timeline, okay? Let nature or source energy or God bring you the time by opening up the thought pattern of and having clarity. In business, you have clarity step by step, right? In creation, the clarity comes from how I feel. Right? Like this dude, this source energy said, I cannot experience life but through you. He was pretty much saying, you can too, but what does it feel like to have it? What does it feel like to have that child running around? What does it feel like to have a mate that's, I can breathe. I can do all this. I can stink up the bathroom and it's okay. I can fart and with you around and it's okay. We laugh about it. How much fun is it that you and our kids and me are all having fart contests, right? I noticed this with my son more than anything. How does it feel to all of us want to do stuff together? And how does it feel to not only having me wanting to do it and they're okay with me doing it? Right? Isn't that basically it?
Yeah.
I would offer you the thought, find out, feel, take the time and really go, I like the way it feels. I like the way Omar fits into this. I like that Omar also has children. I like that I like that all these needs are met. And my need is also met. And there is not a greatness factor. There is an factor, that aha moment, which is really not aha. It's kind of like, So would you be willing to come back in a year from now or maybe less than a year?
I would say if you post in the description what our homework is for this year plan, so we can read it and we can have something documented where we can look back, and then the people that are watching this can actually do the same on their own. Look at what it is that you're wanting us to lay out, what kind of plan, and then we come back in a year and maybe they share some of their comments in the comment section and tell us their story too.
100%.
I might have a ring on by that time. Who knows?
Exactly.
I hope so.
So you write out a business plan when you work, right?
I do.
Yeah. So I'm going to call it a business plan. And all of us know business enough to know that any business plan we write is going to have some changes, right?
Yes.
So we're going to go with those waves. Yep. I really appreciate you giving me time. I will definitely chart out this information. It'll be on the website and maybe on this episode.
Cool.
I look forward to having you back on in a year from now. And any conversation we have on this topic, if as we move forward and you guys have a question, can I post that so that people can see the growth that's happening to us?
Yeah, and if you can text us so we can answer the question.
Yes, of course I will. That's the goal.
All right.
Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thanks for having
Thank you,
us.
Junior. Thank you, Anthony. Thank you for joining us on the I Am Perfectly Frank podcast. Please offer us any information or comments or ask any question you want. We look forward to seeing you again. Have a great day. Best moving company ever. VeteransVanLines.com 248-889-8888 for all your moving needs, commercial and residential.